JKL community, it can be really helpful to break some of these goal setting, personal development, life success concepts into frameworks or tools that we can put into action right away. So this is not an overly long episode, but it's an impactful one that shows us the 3 negative P's to life philosophy and the 3 positive P's that can be an antidote to those negative ones that get in our way. Are you a dreamer or an overthinker? Then understanding the philosophy of the negative and positive P's, that's P words, will really help you build momentum and progress toward things that actually matter to you, instead of all the fluff that we could get focused on. It often seems that there's just not enough time to accomplish what we want in life. You know, we all say it, we're all guilty of it at some point in life. Oh, I wish there were more hours in the day, or there are not enough hours in the day. And that's true. The reality is, if we are any bit of a dreamer or thinker, it will never happen. It is impossible to do everything we dream of since ideas are infinite. Yet we have a very finite amount of time. For every one of us, our window of opportunity is bound by mortality. We have an individualized number of minutes to create what matters to us. The craziest part is that we know it is one specific amount of time. It will be punched as a single duration, but we don't even know how much time it is. This can be both scary, as it was for me in my teen years, or it can be very freeing. Because if we attempt to manage this quote-unquote time, we will live in a constant state of worry over how much we have and what we would, could, or should be doing. What I do know is that I will live somewhere between 6 more minutes and 6 more decades. I can't try to manage those minutes, instead I need to enjoy them to their fullest. And knowing these 6 P's, the 3 positive and 3 negative, will help me and can definitely help you do just that. There's so much that we want to do. When we slow down to worry about how we will fit it all in, we enter the realm of the hurtful P's. Things like procrastination, pressure, and perfectionism will destroy any chance of creating what we want. Procrastination occurs when we have decided that something is important. We set time aside to do it, but we don't get it done. It's important to understand why that is and what you individually can do to get rid of such a habit. Pressure comes when we worry about a timeline, when we stress about results, keep score, or have concerns about what other people think. Instead of learning to learn or participating because something is enjoyable or beneficial, we start to make decisions for the wrong reasons. And perfectionism can make us run in circles, never really making any progress. A funny way to think about this is if you wanted to train your ability to sprint, but you were only willing to pump your arms perfectly before moving on to the legs, you'd never end up getting anywhere. Similarly, many of us buy a course, and another course, and another course. We listen to a podcast, another podcast, or a whole bunch of watch later videos on a topic for years without actually taking action for ourselves because we feel like we aren't prepared. Again, we only have a limited amount of time, so we need a way to fight these P's of perfectionism, pressure, and procrastination as soon as possible. ASAP. So what is the antidote to these hurting P's? It's actually fairly easy to remember because, believe it or not, there are helpful P's too. Perspective, patience, and prioritization allow us to relieve the pressure and accomplish as much as possible. Throughout the learning process, we often throw hate on ourselves with negative self-talk, and this can lead to frustration, depression, anxiety, but with perspective, patience, and prioritization on point, there is very little that can go wrong. Perspective reminds us 2 big things. 1, we appreciate that we don't know how much time there is anyways. As hard as it is for many of us to hear, it's true. We don't actually know if we can accomplish our goal because there is so much beyond our control. By using catchphrases such as seize the day or be here now, we remind ourselves to live and learn in the moment. And secondly, when we worry about results or being perfect, it's often because we feel others are better than us or we fear judgment. Well, the fact is, there will always be people who are better than us, stronger than us, but there will also always be people who are not as good as us, weaker than us. There will always be people who are sick in hospital, not able to even do the things that we are able to try. So maintain a healthy perspective and just keep creating, learning, and creating more. With patience, we're not worried about having to get something done right away. With the pressure off, we can focus on doing the things that bring us vitality, more joy, and happiness. This in turn, perhaps counterintuitively, leads back to a greater likelihood of having enough time to accomplish our dreams and goals anyways. Go figure. By slowing down, understanding that anything worthwhile achieving is going to take a long time, we are actually able to speed up progress. That's because we are willing to sleep better, we take time for walks, to prepare healthy food, or calmly chat with friends or family over coffee without worrying about all the things that we could be doing at that moment. This will lead to more health and ultimately a greater style of success. And finally, the third positive P, prioritization, brings us back to creating more of what matters most. With a priority, at any given moment, we get more valuable work done. We can get more done overall because we have time to focus on the most important task at hand. By managing the work instead of time, we put focus and effort into the next most important thing. Each time we crush the next most important goal in line with our big dream, we are maximizing the likelihood of them coming true. A friend of mine often uses the phrase, "it's just math," which is how I feel about trying to learn anything. It will take X number of minutes to do the next most important thing. Get those minutes in as soon as possible, and then decide what is the next most important thing for you to learn. When you get another chunk of time, you simply repeat the process. If we fail to prioritize though, then we spend our minutes, our precious time doing things that may never matter. Scrolling social media, checking emails, or watching a video that really has no impact on your life. So it's important to ask ourselves, every time we get a block of time to work and learn, what is the next most important thing for us to do? Now, if you haven't heard the Ed Sheeran solo episode 3, go back and give it a listen. It's our most downloaded episode by far, and it reminds us, in just a matter of minutes and a couple of Ed Sheeran quotes, that it's super important to focus on what yields your greatest results by figuring out the most important thing to learn, and then putting in the most important work, the most important reps as quickly as possible. When it comes to achieving our big dreams, I like to picture it like a big design thinking circle for our life. If you know the design thinking process, or you can look up a picture of it, think of how you can apply design thinking to actually designing your own life, dreams, and goals. And actually, that's a good idea to look at the design thinking mindset in the next solo episode, and maybe we could look at a couple helpful examples. But just quickly, you basically would set your big goal, work backwards from that someday vision to a yearly goal, monthly goal, weekly goal, and eventually, what do you need to achieve today in this moment? Where the design thinking process comes in, a couple times a year, you would review the plan based on feedback and shifts in your thinking, or shifts and changes in your overall goals, in your overall circumstances. But then, once you set that plan again, maintain the positive P's: perspective, prioritization, and patience, and great things will happen. JKL community, my own positive P's of prioritization, perspective, and patience when it comes to this show have really increased over the last while. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who supports, because I've realized how important this show is to me, but most importantly, if it helps somebody else, how important that is to me. So thank you for passing it along. Thank you for listening. And because I really want to make sure that it's touching on topics or guests that help you, thank you to those who reach out with any ideas for the show. Appreciate you so much. All the best. And remember, just keep learning.